I don't even know what Super Bowl we're on right now.
Neither do I, but at least I know about Thanksgiving football.
You would have been freaking what?
How old would I have been? Come on, I want to hear it. I want to hear it.
You would have been a little baby.
87. How old would I have been?
Stop! You put me on the spot. I don't like being put on the spot. It makes me uncomfortable. Wait, I need to figure out how old I am right now. Yeah, you're like 4 years old.
Good job. I'm actually surprised you got it.
Oh, really?
Oh, nothing changes with Aaron.
I
love it. I love it. Nothing ever changes. It's always the same. I'm listening to that because I was like, I don't know what's on this intro. I was like, it's been a while since I've used this. And then I'm listening to it. I'm like, this could have been a conversation we could have just had 5 minutes ago. And that was from a long time ago.
I just like to keep things consistent. That's all.
Consistent. Yes. Let's go with that. Because that was created, in 2021, November 2021. So
just a year ago.
Yeah, but that still could have been 5 minutes ago.
I know.
It would have been all the more true. And it still would have been all the more correct. And it just shows how Aaron
can math.
Yes.
So well.
Can math so well.
I'm only used to counting like tens. Okay.
I love how while that was playing, you were just putting your head down and just being like, oh my goodness. But anyways, welcome to another episode. I'm Paul and joined by Aaron once again.
Hey.
So I haven't told Aaron exactly what we're doing yet on this one. But here's what we're doing. Because I do like to try to do at least, and I know I'm surprising Aaron, so if he all of a sudden screams and yells, that's why. Aaron's like, uh-oh, what did I just get myself into?
Oh no.
But I traditionally like to try to, don't always be successful, especially during the summer months, because summer is just weird with vacations and family reunions and all that other stuff, right? But I try to at least once a month have like some sort of spiritual typey episode thingy going on. And I love it how all of a sudden Aaron's face just all of a sudden just changed. And this is why. No, I'm just kidding. This is why I didn't tell you ahead of time, because I'd be like, oh, he's just gonna blah, blah, blah. No. Aaron's just like, what's going on?
I'm getting so nervous.
Why are you getting so nervous?
I don't know. That's how when you hear my voice go up, it means okay.
Okay. So what I was thinking, Aaron, this should be relatively simple for you. And I love how his face right now is like, I disagree with you. Like he's like
wide-eyed.
He's like raising his eyebrows, like, sure. So because it's been a minute. It's been a minute since we've done something like that something like this on here. I wish I had a camera right. I wish I had my camera on my phone up and running right now, because the facial expressions that are going across Aaron's face are just so perfect.
I'm just looking around, man. I'm trying to search for what I think this is.
What do you think?
I don't know.
Okay. Like I said, try to bring it, have some spiritual or whatever kind of episode. Once a month. Again, kind of failed on that, working on that, see how it goes, going forward. But what I was thinking, okay, Johnson, just look at me in the eye. Okay. Since it's been a couple months since we've done something like this, the thought was, what have you been learning spiritually over the last couple months? I love the initial reaction there. Just the no. Why you go no?
Jesus. Well, I don't know.
So I'm going to give you a minute to think on that, because I do have a story. One that disturbed me a little bit on my way here. When I say on my way here, I mean down to your place today.
Today?
Yeah. Well,
disturbing.
So it was actually right by my house. Well, apartment, not house, but yes, right by my apartment. So earlier today we went to breakfast up in Milwaukee, and then Aaron and Josh and Peter went and got their fill of sugar and motorcycle ride testing and all that
Yeah.
fun
Well, I
stuff.
didn't get to test anything.
Yeah,
I just looked at
and the
it.
music store stuff, blah blah blah. So while they did that, I took a nap. Anyways, I say that to set the stage that I wasn't with them when they got done with the music store, and I was gonna come down and meet them up back at Aaron's place.
Uh-huh.
And I had, my dog with me. So I was like, okay, I gotta pick up my dog, drop her off at my mom's, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so I leave my apartment and I'm getting on forget the name of the road that's right there. I don't know why I can never
What?
remember the name of the road,
Which
even though
one?
it should be like, because I just turn on it. I don't look at the name of the road. I just
Like
turn on it.
so you pull out of your apartment
Yep.
complex area and you go left.
I go right.
What you go
Well, I go left out of
left,
the
and then you
driveway.
take a right on the road.
Yep. And then I
And then you
take
take
another.
another right. Isn't that 45
It's what
ish?
it's.
Well, it leads to it, or it's like kind of like turns into it at some point.
Yeah, like I said, doesn't matter. It's the road that I take.
Because now you know where Paul lives, or I have
I
that idea.
I should know what the road is, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyways, I'm driving, getting past the Target building, and I notice there's a bunch of cars on either side of the road. And right past the Target building, as I'm going south on the road, there's like a small little, I don't even know what denomination church this is, but like old timey church. And they had a big old banner out that said old timey revival meeting, so they had like a big old tent and in the yard, a bunch of, chairs, a pulpit in the middle. And they've been having like a revival meeting every day for like the past week. And today was like their big final one, whatever.
Right.
And in the past couple days, when I've driven by it, hasn't really been that busy, but today was busy. And this is what I saw, and I know I've made my thoughts clear. I've mentioned it before. I'm not really one for mixing in politics and religion. Like, you can be a Christian, you can be a Democrat or a Republican, whatever. Some people say, well, you can't be this because blah, blah, blah. You can be whatever denomination. We're going to neither denomination. Wow. Political party. That's how bad it gets at times, where it seems like it seems like political parties are religion and a denomination in and of themselves. But neither political party, and when I say neither, I mean Democrat, Republican, Independent, Green Party, whatever, right, is perfect and is going to represent the Christian values perfectly. You have to kind of pick and choose the one that works best for what, you definitely hold true to and what the Bible says. Both are just as bad, we and both have leaders that are just as horrible. Right now, it seems to be the de facto that, Trump is kind of the quote unquote head leader of the Republican Party, which he has done some stuff that just no, I fully reject, don't like whatsoever, just not a fan of, some of his comments, some of the things he's done, etc. Okay. Some of the politics that he's done, I like. Some of his personal stuff he's done, not a fan of. But I say that, because I'm not a fan of that sort of thing. So I'm driving by this old timey revival thing. Cars again lined up and down the street. And I'm like, wow, they are busy today. Like thinking, oh, maybe it's just because it's a Saturday. No. As I'm driving by, and I almost stopped and took pictures of it. But basically, they just had like a bunch of like vans all on the lawn at this old timey revival with just political signs up and down. It's like this for this, Trump is my president, stuff like that. And I'm just like, okay, you just ruined your old timey revival by doing this.
Yeah.
And I just sat there. It, like I said, part of me wanted to stop and take pictures. And then at the other part, I was like, you know what? I don't have the time to waste on something stupid like this. Like, You can like Trump, you can like DeSantis, you can like Biden. I will mock you if you like Biden because I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. You have to understand Biden is kind of a bumbling old man at
He's not
times.
doing well.
And you have to have news conferences because he's gotten COVID for like the third or fourth or I don't know what number time, right? And they go, he showed me his plate that he was eating, and that was part of the news conference. You just go, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. You're embarrassed that that is where we're at on that. You're
Mhm.
like, no. But
Yeah.
yeah, so this revival all of a sudden then turning itself essentially into a political rally.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, being, the small little church type thing it is, y all of the political signs and political whatever, all Republican,
Yeah.
and I'm on the Republican side, of things, but even then, I just sat there and go, I I I'm embarrassed for this. I'm like,
Right.
it's like, I just wanted if I didn't have my dog with me and I wasn't coming down to meet up with you, I might have stopped for the circus to laugh at it.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, it's a comedy show."
Hey, look what we're trying to do here.
They wouldn't have appreciated me coming up and being sarcastic to them, but,
Oh, no.
that's just me, and, if you don't appreciate my sarcasm, then, well, I got nothing to tell you on that one, sorry. I got
Maybe you just shouldn't be sarcastic.
Oh, trust me. That sarcasm meter never turns off with me. Never. I love my sarcasm. Me and my sarcasm make a great team. No, I'm not being sarcastic right now. Me and my sarcasm are a great team. But that just kinda just, like, made me inside just kinda go, "Ugh," that it's fine and great to be proud of your country, but not at the expense of mixing it with the religion and make it seem that the religion and that love for country are the same, because when it ultimately
Hmm.
comes down to it, this people go, "Oh, traitor, traitor, traitor." When it ultimately comes down to it, my allegiance isn't to the country, it's
Right.
to God. Now, right now, thankfully, in the United States at least, that the 2 seem to align. Could I see the day where that isn't the case? Yes.
I'm sorry, where
Where you have to kinda pick, are you aligning to
oh,
God or are
yeah.
you aligning
Right.
to the country?
Yeah.
And right now our churches and our politics are so commingled at times that it drives me a little nuts. Now, that's not to say, okay, don't take that as me saying, like, on Veterans Day or Memorial Day that you don't take maybe some time in the church service, it doesn't have to be anything large,
Right.
or time consuming, but like on Veterans Day where you know, say, hey, if you're a veteran, stand up and,
And
give
pay your
them pay
respects and
respect.
stuff.
That is perfectly fine.
Mhm.
I'm not saying that that's the bad. It's when you all of a sudden go, okay, everyone, make sure to go vote for this candidate.
Because
That's not you're not supposed to do that from a church pulpit, or from a church service because you can actually lose your tax exempt status doing that.
oh,
Yeah,
did not know that.
yeah,
Dangerous.
that's one of those kind of restrictions on it where you're not supposed to push politics and that, but a lot of churches still kind of push it in
Do
another way and
Mhm.
find ways to do it. Such again, like that old time revival that
Yeah, that seems almost too obvious, though.
it
Like
and I've driven by them because they've done this many years.
Mhm.
Obviously, during COVID, they stopped, you know, but it's like looking through uh, through a time warp at that because you go by there and all the men are in suits, all the women are like in dresses down to the floor outside in that. I'm like, did I just see the Amish? What's going on?
Right.
And
Real MVPs.
let me tell you something. I gotta be honest. me as a person who loves wearing shorts and jeans and all that, I would not feel welcome there. I would feel like an outsider and I would feel very uncomfortable. And I'm very confident in who I am. I don't care for the most part if you look at me because I'm wearing jeans or whatnot. Like when I actually return to the office, which won't be this week for me, but it'll be the week after because I have actually an eye appointment for my dog this week. So,
Hmm.
but when I go back to the office, I already told one of my coworkers, I'm like, I'm going to be joining the shorts crew. I was like, I don't care if people
Right.
see me in shorts. Am I getting my work done? Yes or no? Okay. Then I can wear, as long as something's covering me. I don't,
Yeah, don't yeah.
I'm not being indecent.
Well, that's good. That's the least we can do.
Yeah. So I'm like,
Hmm.
but what I'm saying is I could go to that meeting. I would be fine going there in jeans and that, but I know everyone would be like kind of looking at me like,
Why are you so, like, underdressed?
yeah. Some people will be like, well, wouldn't you be afraid being the only non-white? I'd be like, that I don't care about.
Right.
It's more along the lines of why Christians are always so judgmental on how you're dressing 3/4 of the time. I don't care.
It's
And God doesn't care about that either. He cares about what's going on in your heart.
right.
And it's one of those things that very traditional mindset is something I have never been good with. Never been good with. I've never been
Got your Sunday best on today.
I can't tell you the last no, I can tell you the last time I wore khakis.
Yeah.
It was the 2 last times I can remember wearing khakis was Brewer's wedding and my buddy's, funeral. Other than that, I don't wear khakis.
I
I mean, I told you how I did my last job interview, right? I was wearing a t-shirt and boxers while on the phone doing the
Oh,
interview.
it was over the phone, yeah. You wouldn't be doing that in person now.
No, but I mean,
Yeah.
that was the extent of my interview. It was just over the phone, and I was just
Yeah.
like boxers and t-shirt. I was like,
Alright. I'm relaxed. I'm comfortable.
and they're like, "Oh, we gotta submit a picture." I was like,
Give me a
okay." Well,
minute.
no, it wasn't like like that immediate. They're like, "You gotta
Oh.
submit a picture," and this was during the height of COVID, right? And I was like, "Wait, I actually got to put on a polo? What is this? Wait, what is this
I have to
strangeness?"
dress up.
I know. So I was just, yeah, weirdness there, but that's just me. I'm a very not a fan of traditional things. I'm conservative politically, not conservative in that regard at
Right.
all.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but that's just me. That's just weirdness. But anyways, yeah. So all that to say, I was not a fan of that mix
Political in your
mixing
church
of
and
of all that I saw this morning. And
yeah.
I know like my mom and that she's a big Mike Lindell fan, and I just that guy rubs me wrong on so many levels.
Mhm.
Don't get me wrong, his story himself, because he went from like a drug addict to, the CEO and owner of a pillow company. Great. I'm glad he's no
That's
longer a drug addict and that he's turned his life around. It's then when he starts trying to mix all that in with the political things, and it just rubs me wrong in that regard.
right.
And it doesn't rub me wrong that he has political opinion, that's fine, but he has tried releasing, like, quote, unquote, "documentaries," so many documentaries about these things, I'm just like, "Dude, please provide evidence for anything you do."
Oh, with that
But
yeah.
that's just
Right.
neither here nor there. But anyways,
Hmm.
I hope that gave you enough time to meditate and ponder and think upon the last few months, because the last few months, a lot of things have happened.
Really?
Well, I mean, it's just been busy
No, yeah, no, it has been.
for it's been busy for me. I know your next, like, week or so is gonna be really busy being a third wheel.
Well, family reunion and then, yeah, Disney trip, woo, and then things will slow down for a little while after that until the end of August, and I have another trip to go to.
Yep. Woo!
Um,
But anyways,
yeah, I guess as far
what has Mr. Johnson been learning in his spiritual life?
gosh, and I had something earlier too. No, I was just gonna jokingly say what it means to be a godly masculine man, you know?
Do you want me to keep that in, that line in, or do you want me to edit that line out?
I don't care. Because I was but what I've really been, I guess, kinda I been on my mind, or I don't know, learning, I suppose, is I guess it's more so oh gosh dang it, what was it? It's kind of like some of the freedoms that we have in Christ,
Mhm.
and it's just interesting to see where, as Christians, where we've come from. I mean, I was having a chat with my parents, and how it's just concerning to me. I guess maybe this isn't really much, or I guess necessarily maybe what I'm learning on a spiritual level, but it's been what have Christians, or like how are we kind of ruining Christianity to a point where it's like we're a lot freer than I think we make it out to be.
Hmm.
'Cause again, so going back to a conversation I was having with my folks, growing up on my mom's side, her mom thought cards were evil. Like you couldn't play card games because cards were evil. I mean, you use cards in gambling, and then there's I guess then there's the whole like tarot cards stuff,
Right.
whatever. Not so cards to them were, at least to would be my grandmama, were kind of evil, and like if my mom had kind of, I guess, gotten her to play cards from time to time later on in life, but even then, like after playing a card game, she felt kind of sick by it or whatever, and felt bad almost about it. I'm like, I just go to think, I was like, there's as Christians, I feel like we have become so, I guess, over. What's the word for it? I remember talking. We were reading with us with the Bible study, and we were reading in Genesis, and how in this one verse, like the devil, or was it Eve? Gosh dang it! Now I have to look it up. It's just how it was like we create things to be bad on our own that aren't necessarily bad. And one of my thoughts was dancing with churches.
Mhm.
Churches generally are like, no go on dancing. Now I get like going to prom with the songs that you're playing and dancing to, and some of the like, I guess, yeah, the dances that you're doing are, yes, no, they're not pleasing to God. They're getting you, I guess, aroused potentially with whoever it is you're dancing with. And because, yeah, and I've heard like, people say, oh, dancing just leads to sex and all that kind of stuff, which, yeah, okay, yeah, it can, depending on what you're doing.
Mhm.
And I guess, yeah, you're being close with like, you know, a person. I don't know. But at the same time, I danced at a friend's wedding. I danced with my friend's, I guess, that day wife. And there was nothing in my mind going like, like getting weird and sexual about it. Like I'm dancing with my friend.
Yeah, and
There's nothing to it.
yeah, and like you said, it could be used,
It
it
can,
can be, but ultimately it comes down to that self-control that that
yes,
we are instructed in the Bible to build up over time. We're instructed to build up that self-control, to control our desires, our lusts, and
right.
that.
So, and it's like, I just love how the church is like, no, no dancing. That's bad. But then it's like, okay, so don't have dancing at the church, but then it's a free for all if you take this reception elsewhere and have dancing. So everybody that has gone to this reception that is a Christian is sinning right now.
did I tell you about the wedding in Michigan where I was the best man? I think I've told you about this
You
before.
might have. You can totally refresh me though.
Okay. It was a very small conservative Baptist church just
Mhm.
outside Grand Rapids, Michigan. I was best man for, a guy. I was his roommate in college, a year or so, and, you know, me and him were pretty close at the time, hence best man, right?
Yeah.
And we had the wedding, reception went well, everything was good. We're or the ceremony went well, everything was good, and then we went to the reception and they're like, we weren't we didn't ask, like, "Can we have dancing, dancing, dancing?" We asked, "Can the now husband and wife
Have
have
their first dance.
their first dance?"
Mhm.
And we were told, "No, no dancing in the church." But this is the same person.
Mhm.
But you can go on the sidewalk and dance, because then it's not in the church.
That
So, we opened the church doors, blared the music out so they could have their first dance.
outside of the walls.
Yeah, outside the walls of church, just on the sidewalk right in front of the church building.
Yeah. It's so irritating because it's like, what is it about? I don't know. This probably gets me more worked up than it should, because it's not just dancing. There's so many other things I feel like that are out there. That's like us Christians, like, "Mm-mm, no, 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 no," and we just paint this image of this is just bad and wrong when it's not. I especially well, I guess yeah, with dancing in and of itself, it's not wrong. What you can do with it can make it wrong, but you can do that with just about darn near anything. So it's, I guess it's yeah, it's just we're and some people will say they're maybe taking precautionary measures to so somebody that might be tempted doesn't do it or can't do it because then they won't allow it. I which I guess like I, sure, or hopefully if that person is close enough with the people that are there and these people know about that, then they can keep them accountable. 'Cause that's something important that we should be doing too. Um, but I just feel like we restrict ourselves too much on things, and then that's where it can be like from people looking the outside in, and I was like, "Well, you guys can't do this because there's something wrong with it," even though there's nothing wrong with it. So it's stuff like that that kind of just has been getting to me. And again, another thing is I still have so much to learn about God and his word and all this other stuff where I mean, I'm going to be learning stuff hopefully for the rest of my life. Hopefully I never get to a point where I just drop it and decide not to learn anymore and whatnot, because that would also be wrong.
Mhm.
But so that was one thing that's kind of been on my mind, was like, we do have a lot of freedom still as a Christian and in Christ and stuff like that, where it's like we don't have to. Not everybody. Everybody has their own struggles, I guess, in life, and there's things that yes, okay, we need to be more precautious or cautious about with ourselves as an individual, but we shouldn't be imposing that on everybody else, kind of thing that can handle something. I guess
Right.
you mean you can do alcohol. Some people can handle it, and some people won't go get out of control with it. Some people, just the thought of drinking, they'll start to want to go out of control with it. So, yeah, I guess the biggest thing is just realizing that everybody has their own personal struggles and as, a Christian and stuff like that. But then another thing I think that's really been coming more clear to me, or just more prevalent, is just also to kind of go on the flip side,
Go on.
is to realize and be more aware and weary of of what you allow yourself to do, and just, I guess, not getting so tied in with the world where you leave, I guess, the teaching of God's word on the back burner and kind of thing. And it's, as a Christian, it should impact how you live,
Right.
you know. Which, I mean, I guess that's very basic. That's very probably, yeah, very easy to observe. I don't know why it's been something that's been standing out to me, but it kind of goes to what one of the things with um I guess kind of like what you and I have talked about before, and like, and you have done, where it's like, where your beliefs will have an impact on what you decide to support, what you, and the whole thing, you can put your money where your mouth is kind of thing almost.
Hmm.
I don't know. It's and for me, it's easy to just get lazy with things and not be mindful always of what God's word has to say on stuff. And it's easy to dismiss that and just, again, yeah, take the easy way out, I guess, route.
Right.
So I guess a big thing for me is it is learning how I spend my time is, well, time, money, and I guess, yeah, just what I put my focus on, how big of an impact that can have on me, and where it could potentially take me. Where it's like, yeah, I guess just life decisions, where what I end up doing with my life and stuff like that, and where do I let myself, how far do I let myself go down certain paths, or if I should even go down them at all?
Hmm.
Because big thing is who your closest friends are, and which, I mean, I have to say, for the the inner circle of my close friends, I'd say there is a mixture of Christian and non-Christian for sure. But it's easy to let the non, like, golly, how am I saying all of this? It's easy for me to kind of go along with my friends that aren't Christians because it's easy. There's no, like, well, little to no accountability being had or told that what's right and what's wrong kind of thing. Just do your own thing. It's cool, whatever.
Right.
There's no, I guess, real um, guiding going on in that, and it's. I guess I'm learning just how much more careful I need to be, especially, I don't know, as I just go on and try and figure out what the heck do I want to do with my life, kind of thing. To whether is it going to be glorifying to God or is it not? And I guess I'm personally having a kind of a battle with that, honestly, because there's times where I think, yeah, I could do this and still glorify God in it, but what the part that fights me with is, what are the chances you're gonna stick with that and try and, or like, how long is it gonna take for you to finally break down and start to lose that,
Hmm.
and then just get sucked into the crowd and just do whatever is gonna be pleasing and satisfying to me, what's gonna help me out and do best for me, which, and that's the funny thing, is because, I mean, God wants what's best for you.
Right.
It might not always look on like how we would want things to be, and that's where it really is to look at that long term, I guess, goal, or the long, not goal, but just look at things long term, not short term. Because yeah, it's so easy to just please yourself in the short term, which can definitely be a struggle, I'd imagine, for most people.
Oh yeah.
Gosh, so I feel like there's so many, now that I'm like starting to go on and think about it more and more as I'm going. It's like, holy crap, there's so much for me to be
Fair
one
enough.
still learning more on, and just, you know, it is just thinking of how serious, how important, how serious it is to be connected with God, and dwelling with Him and others that believe in Him and whatnot. And again, that's something that makes me nervous about Christianity too, or not Christianity, but like some Christians, where it's like, yeah, I mean, I definitely have many friends that aren't believers. And yeah, we have weird conversations. And
Okay, yeah.
like you can see how, or trying to see their views on it and stuff like that. And that's where I was, where I really get put in my place, and I feel rather embarrassed about from time to time, is sometimes like my lack of knowledge on certain things about the Bible.
Mhm.
Because when comes time to talk about God and the Bible and Christ and all of that,
Right.
if if I haven't been doing my due diligence and reading and learning about God and knowing about God and stuff, I can't talk about it because I don't know. But yeah, but it's important though to have those non-Christian friendships. Otherwise, who are you going to be talking to God about? Obviously, you could be proclaiming Christ to everybody you walk past, but it's, how do you also do that lovingly and not, I guess, in a way, what are the words I'm looking for? I guess bombarding them with the Bible and God and stuff, because it's from how I have seen people go about talking about Christ to some people, it's kind of not good. I guess I don't know if I'm sure you've seen that kind of stuff, and with the whole idea of it's bad for Christians to be going into bars because they shouldn't be seen in places like that. That's very upsetting to me.
Why is that?
Why is that?
Yeah.
Because I mean, you can just look at where Christ put him. Now, and this is the thing. Okay, yes, he is Christ. He's Jesus. He's God.
Okay.
Boom. But at the same time, he spent time with sinners. He hung out with them and talked to them about, I guess, himself.
Yeah,
um.
my response to that, and I'm not saying I disagree with you, so don't think you're like all of a sudden
Oh,
thinking
okay.
like
You know what? That's it. I'm
because I
done.
mean, how many times have we gone
Hmm.
to bars, whatever.
Yeah, we're sinful people. I
Yeah.
mean, we are, but yeah. Anyway.
But my response to that is this. The thing, you always hear was it the analogy or whatever about, the, the the sick people and
Hmm.
doctors and all that.
Yeah.
I look at it this way. The person, it might not necessarily be whatever, just because we're having a drink, whatever.
Hmm.
But, and I'm not saying that, don't take this the wrong way of saying that anytime a Christian goes into a bar, they are only there to evangelize.
No.
Sometimes they're just to relax with friends and family, okay? There's
Hmm.
a difference between drinking alcohol and the difference between just getting wasted and drunk,
Hmm.
okay? But my view on it is this. I know that there are certain people, even down here in Racine, even though I don't live here in Racine, right?
Hmm.
They know who I am. They know what I do, what I'm about and everything, right? They're not I'm thinking this a guy I used to work with at Aurora that I don't work with him anymore. Me and him work at different companies now. He moved on from Aurora as well. But I know he is never going to step foot in a church unless it's for like a wedding or a
Hmm.
funeral or something like that, right? So, okay, I'm going to go to where he is.
Right.
That doesn't mean just now. Okay, there are certain limitations on this. This isn't a free for all coupon to go to like a strip club or something like that. No, that's
Hey.
not what this is.
Oh.
There are still some things that you have to take into consideration about the destination which you're going. If it's a strip club or something like that, that's a negative. No, that's a no go, right? Because at that point, it's not just you're maybe going for a drink. It's, oh look, naked people.
They're not. Oh, they're not. Not.
Mostly nude. I've never been to one myself, obviously. So,
Well, I mean, they have clothes on. It's just not a lot.
come on, Aaron. Please tell me how they. I'm sorry I brought that up.
No, that's I don't. Have I talked about that on here?
Oh, you have.
I thought so.
Yep, that's.
But like, I guess I would, depending on the circumstance, would you go to one for someone? Depending if it's like some crazy circumstance.
The only circumstance is I have their medication and they're dying and they need it.
Okay, right. Okay. Yeah,
okay. In that case, yes. But if it's like we're in a different town and they're like, hey, let's
go hang out at the strip club.
And like, no.
Yeah.
No.
Right.
So the only circumstance is I somehow have their medication or I have something that is vital important and they're either going to be arrested or die or something like that.
Right.
That's the only
some extreme emergency.
That's the only extreme emergency I could see happening with that. But, again, going back to, that buddy of mine, that guy I know, like I said, he will never step foot in a church.
Mm-hmm.
However, I have seen him multiple times already down at Pepe's. And I've had, not obviously long chats, but at least keeping the communication going between us. And keeping that relationship alive. And if I didn't, guess what? He would never see me there.
Yeah.
Or he would never see me, period, or communicate. Right. So, some people go, well, ends don't justify the means. Sometimes they do when it's not, the means are not a sinful thing. Stepping into a bar is not sinful. No. Playing cards is not sinful, even though I found this hilarious article from back in the day.
Oh, no. No.
By J.D. Carlson. He wrote, Dr. Talmadge, I probably butchered that name, right?
I couldn't tell you.
As great a minister as ever served the Presbyterian denomination, said he would rather have his children play with a nest of rattlesnakes than with a deck of cards.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about, I'd rather see my child die.
Yep.
What the heck?
He goes on, a deck of cards used to be called the Devil's Bible, and in the 17th century, it was called the Devil's Picture Book. I wonder if that's true or not. I have, unfortunately, found a lot of things like this are over-exaggerated or whatnot.
Right.
Like, for example, that book recently, What He Must Be to Marry My Daughter. Okay. I found a falsehood in there, by the way, where he was making the claim that, a guy of old was a diplomat by the age of 14 or whatever. I looked it up. Yeah, he didn't become a diplomat till his 30s. Liar.
What?
Yeah. I was like, that is factually false. I was like, because I even mentioned, I remember when it came about, I was like, man, that seems young to be a diplomat. That just seems weird. I didn't have the resources at the time to look it up.
I'm trying to remember what.
He was talking, it was a former president, Adams, I believe. And he was saying, oh, by the time he was 14, he was a diplomat and all this other stuff. And I was like, that just seems weird. So I looked it up. And I was like, no, he wasn't a diplomat till his his 30s. I was like, false. Anyways, sorry, just brought it up when I was listening to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I say that he writes this. I can't validate the validity of this live. I literally just found this article. And here's what, anytime I read statements like this always kind of, I guess, makes me second guess articles.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I'm like, I can't even trust anything you read anymore. Now, again, this was written back in I don't know. The guy was born in 1915, so a while ago. So ultra conservative times, right?
Heck yeah.
He goes, each card in the deck has a special meaning. Men who know tell me this is true. The cards have a secret language. Here's what it means. This is back in the time when the devil was in everything. Everything was a satanic ritual type deal, If I lived back in this time, Jeez Louise. I'd be in so
You
much
would be,
trouble.
yeah. You'd.
Between D&D and card games and all this other stuff. Oof. So according to this person, and this might have influenced some of the stuff, like when your mom was saying, like, how,
Mm-hmm.
her family had a history of cards, right? Some of this might have influenced it. So according to this, the king represented the prince of darkness, the devil.
Oh,
The 10 spots on the 10 spot speaks of the spirit of lawlessness. Then the club represents violence and murder. The jack speaks to the loose living man, the lustful man, the licentious individual who only lives to satisfy his lower nature. The queen represents Mary, the mother of our Lord. In the language of the cards, however, Mary is represented as an impure, dissolute, immoral woman. I never have seen that. What playing cards this person has played with. And then there's the Joker. It represents Christ.
what?
Yep.
What?
It is said that the Joker is the offspring of the Jack and the Queen. I was like,
Um, where did
where
that come from?
where did we get this story from?
Probably some whack nut who thought this up on his own and started telling people it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And the article continues. This is a short article, thankfully. Remember that 9/10 of all gambling is done with cards. Maybe at that time true, I don't know. Nowadays, definitely not true. Also remember that 9/10 of those who gamble today learn to play cards at home. No Christian should play cards. Surely no Sunday school teacher should play cards. The Bible said, touch not the unclean thing. As far as I am concerned, I would not allow the dirty deck to desecrate my Christian home and tarnish my testimony.
Wow.
Yeah.
Touch not the unclean thing. Huh?
But anyway, sorry. I wanted to take what you were saying and just add a little context in there.
Thank you.
And then
No.
also bring that up. And I was like, this was something that was taught back in the day. In this, and that brings some context, hopefully, for like your own family's thing of like
Right.
these
Well,
card things.
yeah, which I mean, at this point is long gone.
Yeah. Obviously, because your parents have people over to play cards all the
time. Us heathens.
Anything else there, sir? What's been going on?
Gosh. From all the rambling and mumbo jumbo I was going on about, no.
No?
I'm always all over the place. It's crazy.
That's perfectly fine.
But no, I guess the biggest thing is to kind of think of, I mean, I think we're much freer as Christians than we make ourselves out to be. At least some of us.
Right.
Because like I guess I feel like, well, I mean, just even based on that article, I mean, we can be so quick to jump to something that we think is unclean or evil and paint that image on it when it's really, I mean, it's okay. It's not bad. God doesn't say you do not do this card game playing stuff. So it's just, and again, this is one thing that has always bugged me.
Yeah.
Where our society has created the upside down cross to be some satanic evil imagery thing.
Mm-hmm.
Which I still don't. I feel like someone's tried to explain it to me, and I don't get it, because it's. I mean, going in the Bible, one of the disciples had himself crucified upside down.
Yep.
He didn't feel worthy of being crucified the same as his Savior.
Yeah,
and
that's
not demonic.
that was Peter, by the way.
Right? Okay.
Yep.
So I was like, the whole where did this upside down cross satanicness come from? I don't know. So I mean, not everybody knows that is to be some satanic symbol, which I guess biblically it's not.
Yeah, so the whole thing with that is that Peter didn't feel himself worthy to be on the cross because his Savior, Christ, his Lord, died on the
On a
cross.
one. Mhm.
So
So you had it turned
basically,
upside
he
down.
said he was unworthy, so that's why he had the cross inverted.
Yes.
So yes, historically, and this is the fun of, and I've talked about this before, about trying to read modern context into old things.
Uh-huh.
Um, because now the Satanic Church has
An inverted cross.
has taken the inverted cross for themselves.
Mhm.
Now, that doesn't mean in the original context, that doesn't mean, oh, okay, original context is now satanic. It's just modern usage of that imagery is
Is
now
now evil.
considered a tied to the Satanic Church.
Mhm.
Just like I was listening to, or not listening, I was watching a video recently
Mm.
on, like, okay, nerd me, on the history of the code behind The Legend of Zelda, the original game on the NES. And they were talking about how they stored the dungeons in storage to kind of save space, right? I don't know if you remember this. Have you ever played
Oh,
the original Legend of Zelda?
oh, jeez.
Okay.
Very few times.
One of the dungeons in the original Legend of Zelda, if you don't know the context behind what's going on, you'd go, wait a minute, that looks like a swastika. Like, the dungeon design is that. What it is really is it's, because obviously made in Japan, so people go, "Oh, da, da, da."
Mm.
But it's actually a religious symbol from India that they use in a religion. Unfortunately, the Nazis took and
And
basically
ruined it.
perverted that image, just as the Satanists have perverted the upside down cross.
Mhm.
So, what do we associate it with? We associate with the thing that's the more negative, not the thing that was originally intended for, again, because of our kind of view on how we view history. And, they made a big point of it. They're like, people who see this now will be like, "Oh, this is a swastika," but here's the actual where it came from. Here's the origin of it. Here's what it really means. It's like, it's not what we now want to reinterpret it as, but
Mhm.
they can see why it's problematic.
Right.
And because you bring up this inverted cross thing.
Yeah.
I was at Life Fest. There's a band actually that sells a shirt
With an inverted cross
with
on
an
it.
inverted cross, and below it, it says unworthy.
Huh.
So this is their second year at Life Fest. They were there last year. And they were there
Yeah.
this year. Um, they were in the pit tent
Sick.
where,
So they're heavy, weren't they?
yep,
Yeah.
they
Course.
were like, I forgot what style of metal, but they were one of those
Is
metal bands.
that what you were asking me about, the alloy core or
That was just
whatever?
another band. I didn't know what it was.
Okay.
But anyway, so
Okay.
that happened, right?
Yeah.
I forgot what style they were,
Well,
but
of course it'd be metal because metal is of the devil.
yeah,
So.
of course. But the first time I saw it, I was like, "Why are they selling an upside down shirt?" Like, it again, that was part of my own ignorance at the time. Was I didn't know the full history of it.
Mhm.
My brain was seeing it as the
Evil, darkness.
satanic symbol, and I was like, "That is a weird shirt to be selling at a Christian music festival."
Yeah.
And then I'm looking through it, I'm like, and they graciously, actually have an FAQ on their page, actually,
Oh, about that?
about it, and then they have all
Nice.
these, like, historical references back to it, and I was like,
Yeah.
"I appreciate you for doing this."
Right. Cool.
And then that was my own education on going, "Huh, I gotta learn some new stuff on things like that." But
Mhm.
you saw that shirt a lot this year. So, and here's where it turns interesting. It's like a bar situation.
Mhm.
To the outside world, they're gonna interpret it as how they know it,
Mhm.
a satanic symbol. And then they go, "Wait, but you're a Christian. How does this align?" And that opens up the conversation.
Right.
It's the same thing as, "Oh, you're a Christian. Why are you going to a bar?" Or, "Why are you playing with cards?" Even though that article was just, by the way, they have another article too on POD, and I want to read it later
Oh
for laughs.
gosh.
So
Oh, man, I haven't kept up or followed POD.
I know.
I know they were supposed to be some Christian band or whatever, but I've never, like, kept with them to see because I'm not sure. I'm not going to say because I can't say.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely did, start out that way. I don't
Mhm.
know how they've,
Held up to it.
continued on, a lot of bands, you know you
They
know
start off
th
strong, but then get torn away by our culture and
Yep,
secularized and yeah, no.
uh,
Which is another thing I always kind of find funny, which I've heard from some uh Christians talking about bands that, you know, claim to be Christian and stuff like that, or at least some of the people in there claim to be Christians. Like, oh, that could be such a great um platform for them to preach the gospel and do this all this other stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, yeah. And I know in some of their like on older lyrics, okay, yeah, they do have some more like outspoken, like, okay, these are Christian lyrics.
right.
I guess my thing where wouldn't expect them to, especially, I guess, in like they aren't like a Christian like band kind of thing. Just a couple of the members happen to be Christian in the band and
Right.
sometimes right. It's like, yeah, okay, they could do that on their platform and, during sometime during the set, talk about God and stuff like that. I guess, and I don't have anything against that in bands that do that, aka Skillet, which they're very bold about that, and I think is awesome.
Mhm.
I guess to think of to, I guess like you could always turn that question back on them, where with their work, the way that they earn their money, are they using their, I guess, time at work to be always proclaiming God to their employees or the people that they're with, kind of thing? Or are they doing their job? And obviously, I guess not that they, disregard any of their Christian beliefs and behaviors and stuff like that. Like they still act, in ways honoring to God while they're at work.
Mhm.
But are they, always, I guess, preaching the gospel to people and stuff like that, which I mean, that is what we are called to do is to share the gospel and stuff with people. So I guess that's even something I've been chewing on is like, what does that look like necessarily? Or which that could be a whole nother rabbit hole for another time. But like for this band, I mean, this is their livelihood. This is how they make their money. And I don't know. I guess you could always do the thing where that I can see arguments going all ways. So I don't really know which one I'd be like, sticking to. But it's like, so if they do that, I guess you could see them. What if they lose fans and stuff,
Mhm.
and then that impacts their livelihood? Now, I guess all these guys that I'm thinking of a specific group, but like these guys all have stuff that they do on the outside besides the band still. But like, if that's your main income, I guess I don't personally think that sharing the gospel would destroy their success. But it's like on the outsides though, still, these guys that are Christians can still have those conversations with their fans and stuff like that, and if talk about Christ to them. So it's like I guess I don't know why would you tell them how to go about doing their job when I guess are you doing what you're telling them to be doing on your own kind of thing? It's just stuff like that where I don't like when you try and like, oh well, this you guys are famous and stuff, and even though they're, I mean, whatever, it could be borderline. Maybe they're famous, maybe they're not. I don't know. But it's like, yeah, you could use that, opportunity to tell so many other people about Christ, which there's so many other ways you can still share Christ with people
Mhm.
outside of that moment. So don't like how people seem to be. And again, maybe this is some people. This isn't everybody, but it's like they think they're not doing a good job if they're not sharing the gospel while they're up on that stage kind of thing. And so it's like, I I don't know. I guess I'm kind of mixed feelings about it, but there's always. And this is the thing, too, is there, we're always going to be learning. We're never going to be done learning, and we'll learn that we have believed wrongly on things and be corrected in time.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess the only really good way to do that is to be reading your Bible, learning about it. And I guess, and that's another thing that I guess some of this year is how much more it really is than just, okay, I'm reading my Bible. All right, cool, got it. There's a lot more into studying it than it is just reading it.
Yeah, definitely agree. Man, you from the whole like facial expressions, like what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? You've done quite a
I've
bit.
really rambled on a lot.
So I'll tell you what we're gonna
Yeah.
do here
What
on
are we
this.
gonna do?
Because
Close her out.
well, I think we're gonna close her out on this one. This will be part 1.
That was sick.
Part
Okay.
2 is where I am now going to share what I have
Yeah,
learned.
holy crap. Aaron, jeez.
Because it's already been over an hour at this point.
Are you for real?
Yeah. So,
Oh my goodness.
so it's like, you know what? We just now got a large just dump from Aaron on what it has been going through his mind, what he's been learning, how he's been growing. Because here's the thing I want to emphasize for you, Aaron, especially.
Uh-oh.
Learning doesn't always necessarily mean it's I have learned this beautiful holy thing. It's sometimes it's taking those thoughts, those rabbit holes, and how they change your whole life as a whole. Just because something is spiritual doesn't mean it has to be like I have learned how to see an angel or stuff, something stupid like
Right.
that. I have learned
Yeah.
how to be more patient. I've learned how those are great.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. But
Mhm.
sometimes it's those more practical things because that's how you learn to live in a world that doesn't share the same things as you.
Mhm.
And that's how we get to know all that stuff better. We get along better and
Yeah.
just things go. So I don't want you to come away thinking like, oh, I just rambled on about all this stuff, but none of it is related to how I'm growing spiritually. Cause guess what? It all is, and it all does. It's all connected in some way, shape, or another. I'm not trying to be one of those crazy little spiritual people. Oh, everything is spiritual, but everything is.
But it is. So,
just because it doesn't necessarily seem like it is, like this is how it's going to be. There's still going to be a lot of stuff that you are going to learn in that. So
true. It's a never-ending process.
yeah, it definitely is. So we're gonna end out part 1 here. You're gonna hear the outro music, and then the next week or so here you'll get part 2 from me.
From Paul.
Yeah,
just real words of wisdom.
It just depends on how things lay out,
Right.
on when that will come out. Hopefully, it'll be back to back, and then we'll get part 2 going. So, all right, Aaron, thank you for sharing. For now, I expect you to interject as well when I do my talking. All right.